Call this meeting to order. For those I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is John Sawyer. I'm with Walcott Rivers Gates, counsel of the school board, and I am sitting in for Adam Carroll tonight, who apologized for not being here with you. He just recently had a surgery and is recovering, so he sends his apologies and wishes he could be with us. And with that, ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And would ask Dr. Patillo to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I would ask Dr. Patillo to read the mission statement for us, please.
The mission of Forest Public School Division is to engage all students in learning that will focus on academic excellence and responsible citizenship.
Thank you, Doctor. This time I will call the attendance. Ms. Atkinson?
Here.
Dr. Cotton?
He's on the way.
Yeah, he's here, but he left something in his car.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Hines? Ms. Shoemake?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Tillage? Dr. Whitaker?
Here.
Dr. Patillo?
Here.
At this time, I call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move for approval. Second. Atkinson. Shoemake.
Thank you.
And Dr. Cotton just came.
Good evening.
Dr. Cotton, thank you. And for vote in favor of the agenda, Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Ms. Hines? Ms. Shoemake?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Chillage? Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. The first item on the agenda at 3.1 is designation of presiding officers until election of the chair by Virginia Code. As counsel, I'm presiding officer until election of the chair. So with that, I would move to 3.2, election of the chair.
I move for approval.
Thank you.
For 3.1 to have Mr. Sawyer as the presiding officer until election of the chair.
Second, Atkinson.
Thank you. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton? Yes. Ms. Hines? Ms. Shoemake?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage? Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
And Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
Thank you. We now move to 3.2, election of the chair of the school board. I call for nominations for chair.
I nominate Dr. Patillo. Second.
Ms. Thomas, second.
Any other nominations? Thank you. I've closed the motions. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Ms. Shoemake?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, I pass to you. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all, everyone. That moves us to agenda item 3.3, Election of the vice chair of the school board. I will entertain motions at this time.
I nominate Lakeisha Clue Atkinson. Second.
Are there any other nominations? Nominations will be closed on the name of Lakeisha Atkinson. I'll now ask for a roll call. Well, I do a roll call vote myself. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Ms. Hines is not here. Ms. Shoemate?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
And I'm yes as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And just to make sure I clarify that the motion was made by Ms. Shoemate. And second by Ms. Thomas. Agenda item 3.4, election of the clerk of the school board. I entertain a motion and name at this time.
Miss Kathy.
Chambers.
Miss Kathy Chambers. I didn't know y'all really wanted me to do that. Miss Kathy Chambers.
Somebody had to do it. I'll second. Motion been made and second on the name of Ms. Chambers. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call the roll at this time. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Ms. Shoemate?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Congratulations, Ms. Chambers.
Thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you again. And I'm going to hand this over to you. Agenda item 3.5, election of the deputy clerk of the school board. I will entertain a motion at this time.
Miss Brenda Stewart.
A motion been made for Ms. Stewart. Is that second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Atkinson. Any other names? Hearing none, the name will be closed on the name of Ms. Brenda Stewart. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Agenda item 3.6 is a roll call vote for the superintendent's authority. And do we have, we need to entertain a motion for that at this time.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Ms. Thomas, second.
Thank you.
Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.7, a roll call vote for the agent and deputy agent. Mr. Falk will be appointed as the agent, with Dr. Bracy, the deputy agent, by the Portsmouth City School Board without compensation in compliance with section 22.1-122 of the Code of Virginia for the 2022 school year. I entertain a motion at this time.
Move for approval.
Second.
Atkinson.
Motion made by Ms. Atkinson, second by Ms. Shoemate. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.8 is a roll call vote for the appointment of the superintendent's designee in the superintendent's absence. So we ask for consideration to appoint Mr. Theodore L. Falk as designee of the superintendent without additional compensation in accordance with section 22.1-76 of the Code of Virginia for the 2022 school year. I entertain a motion at this time.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion made by Ms. Shoemate, second by Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.9 is election of a delegate and an alternate for the VSBA annual convention. And I'll ask Ms. Chambers if she could remind us of who were our delegates and alternate was last year. I believe it was Ms. Hines. I believe.
Oh, here. It's Ms. Thomas and Mrs. Hines.
Okay. So I entertain a motion for a representative for a delegate and alternate for the annual convention at this time.
Who was it? Ms. Hines.
It was Ms. Thomas and Ms. Hines.
I move if they would like to keep the same, then keep it as is.
Same.
Melvin, but okay.
If you want to,
I second.
I mean, does she want to keep it?
That's fine. I was going to nominate Melvin, but that's fine.
All right, motion's been made. Made by Ms. Atkinson and second by Ms. Shoemate for Ms. Thomas to be the delegate and Ms. Hines the alternate. Any other names? All right, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes,
It's unanimous.
thank you so much. Agenda item 3.10, roll call vote, election of a director and an alternate for the governing school. Currently, I was the director and Mr. Tillage, am I correct? Was the alternate?
Yes.
Was the alternate?
Yes.
If someone else would like it, I don't mind. Or if not, I'll keep it. They meet once a quarter at 11 o'clock of the day.
Yeah. You were the
Okay. All right. Okay. Wow. If there are no other names, then
So no other name, sir.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to keep the director and alternate the same. If you can do that,
Second.
and you make a motion.
I move.
Oh.
I thought you said, okay, I move to keep it, the officers the same as before.
All right.
And I second.
Motion made by Ms. Atkinson, second by Ms. Shoemate. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.11, roll call vote, election of a representative and alternate for the Whro Governing Board of Directors. I believe that was Ms. Atkinson as the representative last year, and I'm not sure what the alternate was.
It was Miss Williams.
Mrs. Williams.
So we will need at least to elect the alternate for Whro if Ms. Atkinson is willing to keep.
So I'll be the alternate, and I nominate Melvin to be the representative. Dr. Cotton, I'm sorry.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ms. Atkinson for the Dr. Cotton to be the new representative on the governing board of directors for Whro, and Ms. Atkinson will be the alternate. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.12, roll call vote, election of a representative and alternate for CSEP. Normally, whoever was the board director for the governing school was also the alternate because they meet 1 hour apart, so they could be there to substitute if needed. And Mr. Tillage was the representative for CSEP. If we're okay with that remaining the same, we can entertain a motion for that at this time.
I move to keep the original board members with CSEP.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Shoemate, second by Vice Chair Atkinson. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.13, roll call vote, election of a representative for the Access College Foundation. I believe Ms. Atkinson was our representative for that last year, and I'm not sure our alternate was.
Sarah.
And Sarah was the alternate. If we'd like to keep that appointment. If no one has anything, any other names, I ask for a motion to keep Ms. Atkinson as representative and Ms. Hines as the alternate for the Access College Foundation. Motion.
Move for approval.
Make the motion.
Motion or approval.
All right.
Move to keep.
I move to keep the same thing.
All right. Second.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Thomas, second by Ms. Shoemate. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Carden?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes. Thank you. I'm actually going to ask for a motion to remove the Q committee from the list because the Virginia School Board Association would no longer be a member of the National School Board Association after June 1st. There is talk of the forming of a new national organization. I guess I use this time to talk about it. So, as of right now, there have been, I believe, 18 states that have pulled out of the NSBA for various reasons, many being fiscal reasoning, and some were due to communication that was sent to the president on behalf of the association that other states didn't know about when it comes to vaccinations and parents at school board meetings and things of that sort. So it was voted upon to be removed from the NSBA, but there is strong consideration and meetings being held at this moment for a new national association, which I believe we should hear something soon within the next month or two. So we as a school board cannot individually be a part of Q. The state association has to be a part. That's how we actually partake in it. So I'm asking if we can just remove Q from our list.
Second.
Motion made by Patillo. second by Ms. Atkinson. If there's any other discussion, roll call vote.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Carden?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.15, discussion subcommittees and assignments. We will have to. We'll have to redo some assignments with the absence of Ms. Williams. So if you all can shoot me any recommendations for that, and I'll shoot you my recommendations through email so that we can actually go through those at that time. All right, I ask now that if our vice chair could lead us into closed session.
I move that the board enter into a closed meeting under the provisions of section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for the following purposes. Consult with legal counsel concerning a legal matter requiring the advice by such counsel as permitted under subsection A.8 and consideration of various personnel matters including the assignment, performance, and resignation of specific school employees as permitted under subsection A.1.
Second.
Motion been made by Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Ms. Hines. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Carden?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemate?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. We're now entering the closed meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair Atkinson?
Yes.
Ms. Shoemake?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton? Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Vote passed unanimous. Thank you all for your patience. We'll move along to, before we go to agenda item 317, I just want to publicly make the announcement that as of December 31st, Mr. Parent has officially resigned from the school board due to personal reasons that's best for him and his family. So we thank Mr. Parent for the time that he served faithfully, not only as a member, but as our chair and a faithful advocate for education and for Portsmouth Public Schools. And we will continue to pray for him and wish him well throughout his journey. So I do thank Mr. Parent for that. Tomorrow, Ms. Chambers will release an announcement for that, and also an official announcement that the public can respond to as of tomorrow. So if we have any other comments on that from board members at all. All right, thank you. Agenda item 3.17, discussion COVID-19 vaccination policy. And Dr. Brace, did you want to lead us into
We're back
that?
in session.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Patillo. So with the new COVID-19 vaccination policy that pertains to employees of organizations that have 100 or more employees now have new mandates that have come down that we must adhere to. So to explain those more in detail, we have one of our school board councils, Mr. Barry Dorans, who will speak with us via speakerphone to this. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is Barry Dorans. So the OSHA has enacted a standard that requires all employers with more than 100 employees to adopt a COVID vaccine policy. We have worked with staff to begin work on that policy, and that policy will basically require all employees, with a few exceptions, to get a vaccine. And some of those exceptions would include employees who are not in contact with any other employees or those that qualify for an exemption or accommodation.
Thank you so much, Barry. Were there any questions or comments from board members? Ms. Hines.
What's the date that our staff has to be vaccinated by? Because I think that's important information for this as well.
So it is February 9th, but it is my opinion that it's extremely unlikely that OSHA would issue any violation to any employer that is beginning to adopt this program if they miss that deadline by a few weeks. And I say that because this policy was enacted, then suspended by a court, then the suspension lifted, and the arguments tomorrow are whether that suspension should be put back on hold. So I think that OSHA is certainly not going to bring an enforcement action for somebody that starts in good faith along this process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
One other thing, if somebody believes that they have an exemption, that needs to go directly to Human Resources or the attorneys?
That goes to Human Resources, and part of the policy will direct who they have to fill it out. We'll give them a sample form, and that will actually have a deadline prior to the deadline for the vaccines.
Okay.
So we couldn't tell them on the day the vaccines due that they need to get the vaccine. So those are dates that staff is working on figuring out what dates that have to submit that application.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, I want to thank the school board attorney and staff, and also Jessica Dorn and her team for working tirelessly on the policy for this, and that an official announcement will be coming from the staff very soon in reference to this policy and what the requirements from staff will be, and deadlines and things of that sort. So I want to thank them for their work on this, and they will get this information out officially to our staff as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Agenda item 3.18 is an agenda review for January 20th, 2022. You can find that in your board docs for our next meeting. And of course, as always, if you have any questions or additions you would like to add to the agenda, please send them to myself and Ms. Chambers. Ms. Atkinson.
Chair, if you don't mind, while we're in open session, I know there was a lot of questions surrounding closure of schools, and I just wanted you to kind of explain where we are with that, since we're in a public setting right now.
Okay. And just to remain in order, I'll lean to Dr. Bracy first in reference to the issue of where we are as far as working with the health department, the closure of schools, and what we are allowed to do and not do. Right. And I can piggyback if needed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair. So where we are with that, as you all know, I think a lot of the concern and the questions have come in due to the surge and the positivity rate within the city. So I haven't looked at it today, but I know earlier this week it was somewhere around 41%. What? 46, okay, so 46%, so, and climbing. So with that, of course, there was a lot of concern because, as you all well know, when we went out before, we were concerned about being 10%, you know, being at 10% or above. So the guidelines since then have changed. When we came back to school in April of last school year, we didn't have a choice. You know, the state mandated that we come back in school, and they ended the virtual option. They ended the flexibility that we had as a school division. So now we have to be in school. Now, we know at times schools may close because you may run into a situation where you have a lot of your staff and teachers, a lot of your staff and students that are infected, that you have to shut down a classroom or a school. You know, one of the emergencies, you can only close school now for emergency type situations. And with that, they only give us 10 days to use. So with that, that's why we've been careful in terms of trying to know when we can do that. Because we know that when kids are out, they're virtual, and our kids learn best face-to-face. But as we are, and parents are concerned about their safety and well-being, you know, we're trying to make sure that we balance this tightrope here with what we're mandated to do. So we can't close schools anymore, but we will close them if it's dealing with a positivity rate that is broken out or outbreak within our schools or classrooms. We will. But when it's just seeing the numbers high and calling, we don't have the authority to shut down and go and revert back virtual. Right. Now, that's not to say that the state won't make changes in the weeks or months to come. We'll just have to wait and see. And I think another question that has been out there is that, well, what are you all doing differently? Well, one of the things that we've been doing, we've been following through with what we've done since we've returned. You know, we're making sure that we have all the mitigation pieces in place. You know, this deep cleaning, the sanitizing, distancing as much as we possibly can, you know, within the building, with having everyone back in the building. So we're still following those guidelines that we have. Omicron is a little bit different than the Delta variant because kids can pick it up, and it's easy to pick up and mask itself as the common cold, allergies, and so forth. So I know that gets tricky, and it puts a hardship on staff, nurse, medical professionals, trying to figure out, is this COVID or is this sinuses or whatever the case may be. So we're working through all of that with the guidance of the health department. You know, we've been following them. I know some parents want us to get information out like yesterday, but we have to wait and get that information from the health department so that we'll know what direction we need to go. So that's pretty much where we are and what we've been doing and where we've been getting our guidance from.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
Yeah, I first wanted to publicly comment and say thank you for the messaging that went out, because there was a lot of questions. So it was clear messaging that went out. I think it was yesterday that we all shared and was provided that answered a lot of the questions that I know myself as a parent also had. So I appreciate that and the messaging. I did want to ask just regarding our testing. So as you know, you mentioned we're at a 46% positivity rate. How is our testing availability in schools if a student or staff is having maybe cold symptoms or what they think might just be cold symptoms, do we allow testing in schools now with that grant that we were that was going to become available? I think in December 8th was the date.
Yeah, the Vsba
Yes,
grant.
thank you. I can think
Well,
of the name.
that is set up around the student athletes and students that are involved in extracurricular activities.
Okay.
They do the testing every Monday. So if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to subject yourself to testing. But if you're not, you have to test every Monday.
Oh, but any other, so if a student's not an athlete or in an extracurricular, they cannot get tested in school?
No, they don't. And to make sure, am I right, Ms. Doran? Right.
Exactly right.
Right, okay, I just want to make sure. Right.
Okay, availability, okay, all
But
right.
we don't require a test to be provided for employees to
Oh,
return back
yeah.
to work or anything like that either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know, like, with the just availability or lack of availability of testing in the community, if the schools
why.
was a place that our students and staff could also get that testing. Okay.
Right, no. We try to work with the health department to establish some of those clinics as well, even when we're having the second dose or the first dose vaccines. Now we're going to ask them for the possibility to be able to have a testing site going on at the same time, because that is hard to find. Yeah, in the city, it really is. Well, really in the Hampton Roads area, it's difficult to find a testing site.
Okay.
And I believe one of the issues we're having with the local health department is they're not able to staff mobile testing sites now. So that's one reason why we have not established them in the schools. And nationwide, there's becoming to be a shortage of tests, period, not just scheduling. So they're trying to make a push now to create, 500 million more tests. So it's just a very difficult, situation that we're facing with this virus. And it's going to be important for those who are making laws in Richmond to consider those who are actually on the field every day in schools doing the work. So please talk to them as well.
I have a question. I think some time ago I had asked about legal guidance on requiring the vaccine, not just for the athletes, but for students in general. Is there any way we can get a response on that, maybe at the next meeting?
Yes, we can see if we can get Adam to be able to share that information with us when he returns.
And I do know that that there are a couple school divisions in Northern Virginia that are about to start doing a test to stay policy for schools, but it will be facing legal challenges. But I think a lot of that depends on incoming administration and governor's executive orders and things of that sort as well. So, but that would be great information to have if Adam could actually research. I believe it was Fairfax and a couple other ones in Northern Virginia.
So to piggyback on board member Yolanda's question, so should we be looking into partner with private lab companies to be able to offer that rapid testing on site? And I know, like, initially the home tests were shot down as not credible sources, but I'm noticing a lot of districts are going back to possibly adding those at-home tests in the schools. So is that something that we're going to look into as well?
We can look at that. We just need to look at it and see how we utilize that within the guidance of, I guess it's the situation. We'll look at it situational to have it available. And you talking like tests to stay, having the test on site. Yeah, we can look at that.
And with that, just I want to make sure that we look at what it would take to staff that to make sure that happens, because our nurses are already feeling very, very, very overwhelmed. So how would that work, and would it take us bringing in additional
A private
right,
I would
private.
say look at like the private
Yeah.
sector of it.
Yeah.
Are we still doing contact tracing in the school, or is that, like, I know we had a position, I believe, at one point for a contact tracer, or do we do that through Virginia Department of Health?
We still work with the health department on that.
So our nurses, they're not having to take on the burden of contact tracing at all?
No. What the nurses do, the nurses we've been working on something to try to streamline that by designating staff members in the schools who are actually the point people for that. And so that it's not just an added or extra responsibility, we're doing stipends for the folks that are actually doing that. So the nurses were identified because they already do it. So with them doing it, we're adding a stipend for that very purpose. So they do that, and the health department now has sort of simplified it where you send the form in to them, and then they'll take it from there and start the contact tracing with the folks that you've been in contact with. They take care of that.
You answered my question. I was going to ask if we could provide a stipend.
Yes.
That's an extra duty. Okay,
yes.
Great. All right.
And one thing I was going to, that we mentioned, I was going to bring before the board, that maybe something Mr. Falk can look into with some of the additional grant funding that we've received. I know we all hope that COVID will someday go away, but with the additional funding we receive and grants, would it be a possibility to maybe think of personnel or staffing that we can have that I guess would be in an HR role that would deal specifically with COVID data, contact tracing, working with the health department, because I'm sure HR is overwhelmed as well. Just like our nurses, so it could kind of relieve the burden from multiple departments if we had someone that can strictly focus on COVID-related issues, especially data, dashboard, contact tracing, who could actually cover what we would consider an outbreak in a school, if there's really one or if there's not, or should something be addressed. But I think just having someone who particularly just focuses on that issue would make us more effective in how we handle what's going on. If it pleases the board to actually investigate and look into that financially, that's something we could cover through the grant, because it could be temporary. And if it ends up being something long-term, that's something we can address later as a budget concern.
Right.
Can I add on to that? Because I think it's a great idea. We even consider adding an additional committee to support that position, because even though COVID might be short-term, just a pandemic or emergency response, business continuity, those are all things that I think fall under this category that could be beneficial.
Well, I think we do have a we have a committee that's within the staff now, but I believe having that person on board will actually just help streamline the committee's duties and responsibilities and what needs to take place.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Simmons has a pandemic committee that meets regularly anyway. Yeah, so he has representatives from the schools and the different departments as well. Now let me back up and add one more piece to what I was talking to you about with the stipend for the nurses, because the nurses are working with the students. But if I'm not mistaken, that we also designated another employee on staff for a stipend who's going to be working for staff that are infected, because it's too much for the nurses to be doing staff and students. So we have another designee that will be trained, so if they find out an employee is positive in a school setting, then that person will be the contact to get the information to the health department. So that way it's not putting all of that on the nurses. So I'm trying to think of things to alleviate, because now with this new variant, this has really ramped up. Yeah. So just wanted to let you know that that's something that we have in place as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great, but that's why I say if we could find someone through a grant position that would mainly focus just on that.
Yes.
Because a stipend means that someone has another whole job on top of
yeah, that's right.
Doing that.
That's exactly right.
If we could really look into that and see what we can do pretty swiftly with that, that'd be great.
Right. Well, that only gets it to us. We still need someone here, as you mentioned, to corral that.
Dr. Whitaker.
More than one person.
Oh no, absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
just one.
And while we're talking about stipends, I'm just going to put a plug in for teachers. I know in December we had talked about trying to find bonus structure or additional funds for our teachers, and adding people to administration to I understand the burden of administration, but I also to understand the classroom and what extra is being put on the teachers. And so I don't want us to lose, thanking somehow our staff for being those boots on the ground. And I call it boots on the ground because some days it is, boots on the ground. It's a battlefield some days, as far as keeping everything and managing everything. So I know we had talked about it in December, and I know, the teachers are like, well, some divisions are using, grant funds to give stipends and this and that and the third. So I'm hoping at the end of January we have some sort of presentation or some sort of discussion about what we can do for our teachers as well.
Yeah, and Dr. Brace and staff, they have been working diligently with that. And I'll just say, I don't speak for other divisions, but I know for us to make sure we remain legal and that we handle grant funds properly.
Correct.
We're having to look into our own operating expenses and funds to make sure that every staff member can receive a bonus, because when the government gives bonuses and grants, it's just for certain positions.
Correct.
And we've always taken the stance that we don't give to some, but we give to all.
And
so
we had a city council liaison meeting today, and so Mr. Falk and Dr. Bracey both expressed that very clearly to city council.
Okay.
So I was going to follow up by saying, from the meeting today, I learned that, it's very, as all grants are that we're, that we have to deal with, are written very specifically, and so we don't want to just take care of certain, we want to take care of all.
Right.
So I appreciate their diligence and them looking at it to make sure that all of our staff is taken care of.
Yeah, but I will go on a limb and say this publicly, that we will not return void, and we will take care of our staff, and we realize the sacrifices they've made and what they continue to make every single day. So we look forward to them presenting us something very soon in reference to that.
Can I a follow-up question to that?
No, you said enough. I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
And simply because my son is in this situation, one of his teachers resigned at Christmas and went back home, and so I know the sub situation. I know long-term sub situation. When we pull IAs and when we pull people from within the building to go and cover classes, are we giving them above and beyond their daily rate? I mean, if you have an IA gets paid an hourly wage, where if you had a substitute in that class, that substitute rate is a lot different than that IA daily rate. So are we taking that into consideration when we're placing people into the buildings, and are we taking care of those people that are covering those classes in those situations?
Yes. Well, yes.
Okay.
We had a conversation. We had I don't want to say an emergency principals meeting, but it was a call principals meeting because of the fact we're coming back from the holidays and the positivity rate is extremely higher than what it has normally been. So you have a lot of students that are in and out. You have a lot of staff that are in and out. So we don't have subs that will be able to cover all the classes. So you do have teachers and staff that are willing to cover some of these classes, and some of them do it from the goodness of their heart. But at some point in time, they're going to get burnt out as well. So what we are working on to put in place is to be able to compensate, whether it's a teacher or IA or whomever, for taking the time to go into that classroom. So that's what we're looking at, to make sure that they receive something, because there's going to be a lot of that as we move forward. So we're just trying to make sure that we compensate them for that additional time that they're giving.
Right.
So yes, that's something that we're working on, that we hope to have in place real soon. Yeah, as soon as we finalize things with on the finance side. Yeah, we'll be ready to go with that.
I mean, just looking at the IA rate compared to what a daily rate of a substitute is, there is a significant difference between those. So
we're just trying to balance it out. They're going to get their regular pay, but then we're just trying to look at what that would be for the amount of coverage that they're providing.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all again. Administration, teachers, custodial staff, nurses, everyone for everything that operates, for everything they're doing to continue to keep us above float during this this pandemic that seems to be never ending. So thank you all for your sacrifice that you continue to do daily for that. If we don't have any other further discussion, I thank you all for your time, and we'll consider this meeting closed and adjourned.